Bleh.
Were they sloppy live? Somewhat. Not as sloppy as the Misfits, but it wasn't spot on perfect. But then again, it doesn't need to be. It just it's the immediacy, the presence, the energy, the
Yeah, but it
aggression.
was way better put together than what the Misfits were live. I mean, it was just
Absolutely, absolutely. I haven't really heard what I would. There's Misfits bootlegs that I can't even listen to them because they're just so shitty.
they're nigh unlistenable. Like you literally, you know what you listen to them for? You don't listen to them for musical enjoyment per se. You listen to them because it's like a way of time traveling, or it's a
Yeah,
way of sort of like, hearing the stage banter. There's like a lot of reasons to listen to
yeah,
them, but it's
yeah.
not like I don't listen to them for enjoyment. That's why Evil Live is Evil Live, because
That was the best one.
that was the
And as a
best
matter of
one.
fact, Frankie had even said to me, and Frankie from VOD and from my
Yeah.
first band, like I said, he was friends with um, another guy named Bob, who eventually joined Voice of Doom as a bass player towards the end. Bob had given me his copy of Horror Business, which I think he got at the door at the Irving Plaza show. I
In
think
'79.
when they were giving that out. And I remember asking him, like, what did the Misfits sound like live? And he would just be like, they sounded like shit.
Yeah,
And I'm
but
like,
that's
really? And he was like, yeah, they were horrible. They were awful. The guitars were all out of tune. And, it was just a mess. But as a show, it was great. But,
right.
but just, playing wise, it was just kind of all over the place. One of the better videos I've seen, I think, was like around Halloween, the Bethlehem, Pennsylvania show.
That's a good show.
That's a pretty good one.
That's a pretty good one. Yes, I
Yeah.
know exactly. I know what you're talking about. They're kind of on the floor, right?
Yeah, yeah. And Doyle's
Yeah,
having problems with his amp at the very beginning,
yeah.
and then eventually it comes on. That's a pretty good one.
And if you want, and you know what's real chaos? I mean, really, really real chaos is Channel Club '83
Yeah, that
Boston,
is. Yeah.
which is just you literally you see like like 12 guys pile on Glenn, and he's still singing the song.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just I mean, it is crazy.
You know what's interesting about that Channel Club? Is that the one where the guy's kind of interviewing them from the stage and he's kind of seems like real shy,
No,
right?
that's Why Be Something You're Not. That's in
Okay.
Dearborn, Michigan,
Okay.
in
Um
January of '83.
he's very like
I love
he's very like not uh I guess maybe not used to talking, being interviewed.
But he had that, but that's not. I'll tell you why that's not true.
You don't see it that way? That
I
he
I
just kind of
don't.
seemed
I think
very
he's being no.
shy?
He's very shy, but there's okay. So I don't know. You should check out this episode. Friend of the show and someone I've known for years, Greg Fasolino. He actually came on the show as well.
I've heard of Greg.
Greg is the man. Greg is the greatest archivist that ever lived. Like he's just the dude is a living archivist. Like but one day he just out of nowhere, very casually goes, "Oh yeah, here's this thing that he taped WFMU off of the radio in 1982. It was 43 minutes of the Misfits on the air. No one's ever heard it. It just
Mm,
like you can't. It's just something that just surfaced. I think it
hmm,
was last year, or it was either
interesting.
earlier this year or it was last year. I don't remember. I think it was earlier this year. And also, he also has a Danzig interview because He's also interviewed Glenn on two separate occasions. But
Yeah.
what's amazing about these recordings is that he just had him. He just had him sitting on tape. And in the '82 Misfits interview, which by the way, there's a revelation of Glenn saying that the Misfits are going to score the soundtrack for Blood Feast 2. And what's interesting about that is as we all know, Blood Feast 2 doesn't come out until 2002. It's
Yeah.
directed by Herschel Gordon Lewis. Could he have been talking about Blood Diner that was directed by Jackie Kong and written by Dookie Flyswatter of Haunted Garage, which came out in 1987?
Or was it
And
just a bunch of bullshit just to
or
kind
was
of,
it just a bunch of
you know.
bullshit? But it's just like, but what's interesting is like but that's what's so cool. And the thing is, like, he gets into a whole thing with someone on the air. He was not shy. And there's an interview from '79 on the radio. It's a 1 minute snippet right before they go to England, and Glenn, you can hear Bobby in there too. It's really crazy. And Glenn and
Hmm.
Bobby, they're not shy. So I don't know. Maybe you're right, but I don't, I didn't, or maybe it's because he's just on the radio and it's a little bit different. It's not like, he has a camera and
Yeah.
he knows he's being
Well,
recorded. Who knows,
those
man?
that was just kind of like my take on it. Like at the time, maybe he
Yeah,
wasn't used to that format or wasn't expecting it, or
right.
I don't know. That's kind of just the way it came across to me. And he was looked a lot younger, a lot thinner, no tattoos at that point. He
Right.
kind of looked. Actually, the funny part about it is he kind of resembled like a young Hayne, like the way he kind of came across.
Really.
Like yeah, like that was kind of the way I saw that.
And what's interesting too is what's interesting is you're a guy, you've seen Sam Hain, but you still, the Misfits were before your time a little bit. And
Yeah,
so the first time that you see the Misfits is probably, I'm making an assumption here, but is on some crappy duped VHS tape that, some VHS holdover from something. Am I right?
I never saw any live Misfits tapes VHS
Get
at
out of
that
here.
time. No, not at that time. I did not.
When
No.
was the first time that you saw the band live and being like, holy shit, that's the band. That's the Misfits.
Uh, that's a good question. When did I ever see a live recording video of them?
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you.
Wow.
I couldn't even tell you. No.
Wow.
I really don't know. I don't know. I don't remember.
I remember seeing one in 2002, this was pre-YouTube, and to think, I had no idea that there was any at that time. And I hadn't dredged through Misfits Central yet, probably, but at that time I didn't know that there was any live VHS for any footage of the original band. I thought the only
Hmm.
thing was the music videos of the Misfits in the 90s, and that's
Hmm.
it.
Well,
So to
back then, if you think about it, the recording equipment was very primitive.
Of course, yeah.
And somebody, whoever, whether they knew about it or it was just somebody showing up with a video camera, probably filmed it and then maybe forgot about it or made copies for his friends, and it didn't start to circulate for many years.
Right.
I don't remember anybody in my circle physically having a VHS tape with the Misfits live on it.
But even then, the thing is, I see what you're saying. But like, and here's what the other thing you're talking about, like the fact that, like, back then, to even have somebody recording a show or something being kind of like hard to come by. But like, even then, the Misfits were recorded a lot for a band that wasn't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
recorded, right? Like,
yeah,
they were
yeah.
recorded a whole bunch.
Yeah, they were, and whether it was band sanctioned or it was just a fan or somebody that worked at the club,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. That's another rabbit hole to kind of go down. Like, who recorded them here? Who had the original tapes? Was it? What did they know about it at the time? Did somebody, say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be filming you guys tonight. Have a good show."
I think that definitely is probably varied from show to show. I do know that the earliest recordings of the Misfits, for sure, were recordings made by Manny, the drummer, the first drummer, Manny Martinez. He
Hmm.
recorded practices, he recorded live shows. The third live show was recorded for sure. Maybe even the first two, from my understanding. I think even the first two
I didn't know that.
CBGB
That's
shows,
interesting.
yeah, the first two CBG shows are recorded. And then, we talked recently, I think it was the last show or the show before that, about the Night of Living Dead music video.
Mm.
It's shot on pneumatic tape. It's like, for a format or for technology that was hard to come by, the Misfits always seem to walk right into it pretty easily. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny when
Yeah,
you think about it.
but it's funny, when you look at a lot of their early videos as compared to a lot of Dead Kennedy stuff. Dead Kennedy's
Yeah.
stuff was recorded. A lot of live shit was recorded, but the quality was better. So was it the luck of the draw? You
Well,
know, Even Flag. Some of the Flag stuff was still kind of still shitty, but somewhat better in some ways.
I think what you're referring to is not so much a question of quality, as in the quality of the video that you're watching, because this stuff gets dubbed
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
duped, and then the quality just degrades and
Yeah,
degrades. There was a
yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
generation of the Bookie Show. It was like a very close to first generation of the Bookie Show from '81 in Detroit, and you can actually see Arthur Googie like
Mm,
in the band. It's like kind of
hmm.
crazy,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
actually like,
I've seen. I think I've seen that.
yeah, it's super clear, and you're like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you had guys at like Max's Kansas City with like Super 8 cameras that could record sound shooting
Mm,
stuff too. I
hmm.
mean, like,
Mm.
it's just, they definitely were recorded, but I always find it interesting, like, to think that, before the age of YouTube, like, if you wanted to see them, you had to see them on a VHS. And
Mm.
even still, my imagination, like, my imagination ran wild. And then when the first time I ever saw the Misfits was on Why Be Something You Not. I think it was probably the year 2002, and I'm remembering the quality was terrible, but being like, oh my God, that's the actual band. I've seen
Yeah,
photographs, but I've never seen them actually playing.
yeah,
They're actually playing, and it just
yeah.
like blew my mind. The,
Well,
the mythology around this band. It's crazy.
that's a very interesting point because I saw live action shots. We all have,
Right.
and it was very interesting to me to be so captivated with a lot like the live action shot, whether it was from Erie or whomever. The live action shot had like a sound, it had magic, you
Right.
know. And in retrospect, a lot of the live action pictures were better to me than actually seeing live video of them because I had an expectation of
Interesting.
what it sounded like from the picture. You know,
Interesting.
the way it was taken, and Erie took so many. Everybody knows Erie took 1,000 pictures, um, but seeing the live action shots to me kind of spoke more than actually seeing. It's cool to see a video. It's cool to see the
Yeah,
videos.
for sure.
I watch as many as when I see them. I watch them. I may not watch the whole thing. I may watch bits and pieces of it. And for nostalgic sake, that's pretty cool. But seeing the live pictures and hearing it in my mind, what my interpretation of what that picture sounded like to me held more water.